When you want to know what is the standard that's needed to get into the kingdom, we're talking about the kingdom. There's a promised kingdom. Who comes in? Those who are righteous. Those who are perfectly clean. Those who don't bring any sin with them. Can you earn that? Is there a way in which you can attain God-likeness in your thoughts, and that there is a way that you can atone for your own sins? Again, the alarm that should be going off, according to the church, to that statistic, we could put a line right down the middle. This half believes and that half doesn't. But the scriptures say there's none righteous, no, not one. It doesn't say 50%. It says they all have sinned and fall short of the glory of God. And so this is an important part for us to grab before we go into talking about what the kingdom's going to be like. The first question is, are you going to be there? And if so, why do you think you're going to be there? And if your answer is, well, because I was baptized with water, because I go to church every Sunday, because I live among the elect. Well, someone could belong to the nation of Israel. They could be a Jew and entirely lost. We see it right now. Separated from God, heading for hell. And in like manner, we have people, and I want you to think of this for yourself, because we must examine ourselves who may have spent your whole life in church. You've attended prayer meetings, served in children's ministry. But if your righteousness is not more than that, you are still bound for hell this morning. If you think, well, I'm going to heaven because I've done enough good, because I served, because I gave, that won't save you. Being a Jew is not enough, and attending a local church or having a membership on earth, even serving, is not enough. What we have as a church, as a people, is a sin problem. We're corrupt. We're guilty before God. And though God promises the church and Israel a measure of success, only those whose sins are dealt with will be the beneficiary of those promises. Listen how Paul described it back in Romans chapter 10. In verse 5, he says, "For Moses writes about the righteousness which is of the law. The man who does these things shall live by them." If you want to obtain righteousness by your own goodness, if you want to say, I'm going to earn my way into eternity, well, the standard is perfection. And as we see where Jesus talks about, it's not even just perfection in the outworking. It's a perfection from within the heart, that the heart doesn't sin against God. That's where he says, if you even looked at a woman, you've committed adultery. He's not talking that you've had an affair on your wife. He's saying you've had sin before God. Because that sin is coming out of you. Out of the heart, Jesus said, proceed evil thoughts, murders. This is where the sin comes from. And it must be dealt with. And we know this is impossible on our own to attain. And of course, that is why God sent his Son, who is the Redeemer of Israel and the Savior of the church. But again, I remind you, only those who turn to him in faith will share in his inheritance.